Hi all. My attention was drawn yesterday on Facebook to an amazing game finish, and it was quite amazing, and there was also some other amazing resources in the position, and I think the game feature highlights a mega dangerous passed pawn here. Pardon me. This passed pawn is quite dangerous at the moment on f3, and you can see White's king is kind of restricted quite heavily by his own pawn and this fawn pawn on h3. So black actually, even though black's got the rook against the bishop and knight, black seems to be doing well here. Black is Jan-Krzysztof Duda 2553, and playing white is Kayden Troff, an amazing young United States junior talent, 2457. So he's been winning like the under 16s, etc. A very talented player. But here he's in a little bit of trouble because of this very dangerous passed pawn. Black now played rook takes e1, queen takes e1, and now the pawn steps closer to that rank for queening. So f2, attacking the queen. Okay, so what should White do here? Technically, actually, White's in pretty bad shape, but let me show you what happened. Queen e8 check, king h7. Now there is a resourceful try here. There's no more checks with the queen at the moment, but it might be nice to try and lure the king out if possible, or do some damage to black if possible. And Kayden tried g6 check, and black actually just took with the f pawn. It is also possible to take with the king. The position is actually quite good technically. Now here it looks as though White's next move ties the black queen down to protecting g7. So was this g6 check a success? It kind of ties that queen down here, and also it stops, of course, now this very dangerous passed pawn from queening and mating on f1. So black to play here. Interestingly, the game continuation was fairly brilliant. It's knocked my socks off, so to speak, the game continuation. But there's actually a number of winning moves here. Actually, it shows that the pawn is just so incredibly dangerous that there are at least like 8 different ways, I'm counting here, 8 different ways to win, but one of them is so incisive and concise a tactical move which wasn't played, and the one that was played is actually quite brilliant. So there's the mega incisive move is like a mate in 3 actually with best defense. What was played was a mate in 6. So there's 2 little tests here. Can you find the most incisive move in this position to celebrate this really dangerous passed pawn? Just needs to step 1 step further. So a simple challenge it would seem. How would you get this pawn queening, but you're tied down, it seems, to g7? So that's the simple technical challenge here. Why am I laughing? It's a simple technical challenge, but there's an amazing resource here which can do this. So you simultaneously want to make sure you don't get mated on g7, but make a move which helps, the passed pawn or mating white, even if you don't need to queen the pawn. So what would you play in this position? You might want to pause the video here. So I'll give you 10 seconds starting from now. Okay, the amazing, super amazing computer resource is actually to play queen d4, believe it or not. So we're still protecting against the mate here. And if, like bishop takes, we just play rook c1 mate, that pawn's really dangerous for a mating net here. And also black is now threatening, not queen d5, the knight's on it, pardon me. Black is now threatening queen e4 with this mating diagonal. Knight's protecting d5 here, or queen d1. So there's actually very little defense here for white, apart from giving up the queen to stave off mate. So that is an absolute killer move. But in the game, I was personally, without checking this game with an engine, really impressed with the game continuation here. So the game continuation was a kind of mate in 6, which actually there were actually 3 different mate in 6 moves apparently. Checking with Houdini 4, there were 3 moves mate in 6, and this was one of them. I wonder if you guessed this when I asked for the move. It's Rook F4, believe it or not, which is brilliant as well. It is absolutely brilliant, and the follow-up is absolutely brilliant here. So you might think, well, okay, there's 2 ways to take this, but both kind of fell. But the more obvious failing move is G takes, because you can just queen, or even with a rook, and it's checkmate. But the less obvious failing move here is actually queen takes F4, and I wonder if you can guess the amazing resource here that black intended. So if I give you 10 seconds again here, what would you play with black in this position? Now the challenge is maybe a little less to do with G7 now, because there's no immediate threat on G7 to checkmate. So it's about this pawn more here in this particular situation. How would you get this pawn to potentially queen? So 10 seconds starting from now. Okay, there's actually far less winning candidate moves here. You know, black is 2 pieces down in this position, but these 2 pawns are really quite dangerous close to the king, and this one about to queen, it seems, if it was not for the queen here on F4. So how can we damage the queen protecting F1? Well, I hope you spotted this one. Queen E3, just offering the queen to you know, decoy the queen away from deflect from defending F1. So if takes, we just play this, and then for queen G1 we've got queen F3 check. So because of that pawn we're mating here. So white in this position does have a check to delay things to the maximum. Queen H4 check, and now guess what black can simply do in this position? A very, very simple move and effective. I'm just going to show you now. Just drop back the queen. It doesn't matter even if the queens come off, even though these 2 extra pieces, they don't mean anything here. If queen takes, we can just you know, take with a pawn, for example, and the king cannot stop the pawn. This bishop cannot stop the pawn. Nothing can actually stop the pawn here. So you know, the best that white can do is bishop d4, and then gets mated like this. So I was really quite impressed with this finish, because also here, if you know, the queen, if we try and, well, how do we actually stop the pawn in this position? We can't. There's no moves to stop the pawn. If queen f4, we just take off the queen, and then we're queening. So it's an amazing situation here. So I don't know. Initially, I was really impressed with just the game continuation, but checking this position, I thought this was quite a stunner as well. This queen d4 that the engine found. So I hope you found that interesting, and shows, you know, the dangers of these pawns around the opponent's king. Okay, comments or questions on YouTube. Thanks very much.